What are some of the downsides to being like a one man band almost? Like working for yourself? Like, how do you compensate for that camaraderie that a lot of people get in
Oh yeah.
offices?
Yeah, this is probably the biggest downside of what I do. Is the fact that I am not having that camaraderie in the office. It's what drove me to even like really apply for that one. I can't. I'm not gonna like say, but the job I turned out like that was the one thing that I like that was the biggest selling point of like, oh, it would be cool to be in a sports media company where there's camaraderie, right? It's
Yeah.
there you have people, but I think for me, the reason why I'm doing this is I think it has the biggest upside. And I just want to give myself a chance to bet on myself and really just have this thing like go to the levels I think it can go. So it's a sacrifice. I think it's the thing that is the worst part about it, like hands down. Like, there's nothing good about it, like literally. It's probably why I moved to New York City because obviously just big city. There's so many people here. There's so many people, like-minded people here. And it's just a place where there's such like a culture of just like being around other people, just like the walkable nature of it and whatnot. So that was the biggest selling point on like there's things you have to do, right? So again, move to a city like New York, like there's things that you have to do to compensate for the fact that you're not really getting that interaction. So again, there's no good thing about it. It does suck. It's like the worst part about it.
When you say upside, what do you mean? Do you mean financial? Do you mean popularity?
I
Do you
don't
mean
mean
socially even? Because in a lot of
I mean
ways,
I mean like I guess a status from the perspective of like when you think of the biggest names in sports media, like the Steven, and I don't think like the ceiling of well, maybe who knows, man. Kenny Beecham, somebody who's like maybe I don't know if he's on like he's not on the tier one with those guys, but like I mean I think the media landscape is interesting because when you look at who are young people watching, not a lot of people who are like my age, our age, younger are really like that tapped in with anybody else really outside of like I don't even think Steve. I don't even think Steve. The people I know who how they consume their sports content really is through podcast. Um, it's through YouTube. Like it's also through like, for example, you see First Things First upload their videos on YouTube, or you see ESPN upload their shows on YouTube. So that's how I watch Get Up, for example. Like they have like the 20 minutes in
yeah.
there, right? So and they actually do really good numbers. So they again, obviously it's a killer format. They crush it. But um, I think status wise, like of course, like having if you can get to a point where you have like 3 million. I mean, I don't even want to quantify because like, again, followers like whatever. But like if you get to a point where it does get the attention of people like PR people at the NBA, and they're like, oh, we got to get this guy, you know, credentials and whatnot, and all these things. So I think status would be like the biggest thing that it would just be a lot harder to um elevate because you have to be on camera. You have to be on camera, I think, to have the biggest status.
Yeah.
And I think other than TV, that's why social is probably the second best thing in terms, like the second best avenue to go up that because it's hard to get jobs on TV. I mean, I don't know, it's you know. And basically until you're what like 35 40 years old, they're not just handing out a job to. I mean, there's a couple except like Noah Eagle. I just thought of as like an
Shout out
example.
Malika Andrews too.
Yeah, yeah. So how is Malika though? Is she like 31? Like she can't be
31, but she's been
31.
like
Yeah, I mean, but
on
she's been there for
ESPN
a
for
while
like a
though.
long time. Yeah.
She's been wow. That's impressive.
Her sister too, Kendra Andrews.
Yeah,
She's like
Kendra. Yeah,
28, I
yeah.
think. She's still part of Gen Z too, I think.
That's
And
incredible.
like she's been on ESPN for a long time, covering the NBA and
That's
WNBA for a long time.
so yeah. Okay, there's definitely is a couple exceptions, but I think also the
And
beautiful
you
part.
next, you next.
I think the beautiful part too about what I do though is even like look at all those people. So Malika's the host, right? They're hosts on TV shows, and obviously that would be sick. Like that, a host is a better job than what I have right now. Like I'm not trying to throw any shade. The downside to that though is that you don't have any creative autonomy in like how you get to kind of your presence. Your presence is basically handing over the rock, handing over the baton to your former NBA players, your former players, your analysts who are all former players on TV. So the only way to be like someone who gets to explore like the creativity and show some personality is doing something yourself really. The only way to show personality is doing that. So
It's kind of your like being a full-time content creator employed by yourself is your way of kind of being outside of the box and being in the sphere that you want to be in, the NBA part of the world that you want to be in.
Well, because I mean, I think what like, if you do get that job, I mean, first of all, how hard it is to get like that one. I mean, there's literally one. Like, if you're not a former player,
Yeah.
what? How many? I mean, obviously, there's writers who have the live TV hits like
Brian
Jamal
Windhorst,
Collier. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, Jamal Collier, Windhorst,
Bontemps
and
McMahon,
then
Dave
McMenamin. Yeah,
McMenamin.
yeah, there's a few of them. It's like half dozen, or maybe a close to a dozen. And there's someone else I'm forgetting who does great. Oh, Michael Wright with the Spurs,
Yeah.
and but they see how they do it now. They do it by divisions.
Yeah.
Like Owen Masuk is like the Southeast Division NBA reporter. It's not there's like they're cutting. They've cut jobs like
Only Dave
uh,
McMenamin and Anthony Slater are like the only like team reporters. Dave
he's
does
from
the
the
Lakers,
Warriors.
Anthony
Yeah,
does
the
the
Warriors.
Warriors.
Yeah, so I think like that's kind of just what I see. Like the jobs are getting slashed. Like there used to be someone for most teams, right? And the Athletic is like the one company that does a, obviously the Athletic does a great job, but all of them are writers. You know, there's not
Yeah.
live TV hits, but so I don't know. I think for me and how I see things, I like the path I'm going down. I think it does lead to a lot of upward mobility. And if I'm wrong, oh well.
I like this like approach of like, look, this is what I believe in. I'm going. Damn the torpedoes. We're here.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly.
Does I know you've interviewed Rich Paul and you've obviously done a lot of cool NBA things. How does the idea of just like doing starting in 2022, you're just gonna make a video and then you're gonna make another video. How does it lead to roads that you couldn't even anticipate it? I mean, like you said, you didn't even know you were gonna be able to work for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just because like you enjoy doing it. Like it just like it's fun to make content. It's because people always like use the word too, like oh, content. Everything in media is content. Like
Yeah.
journalism is content too. Like what is it? Like, people sometimes I feel like use that in like oh like making I don't know. I think it was just fun. Like I wanted to talk about sports. Like every other like a lot of other kids. Like I mean, it's just an avenue. And I think one of the cool parts about why I really gravitated to this was the fact that you have an audience of people who do see your stuff, and and the reason why I like that is because you get interactions with actual human beings who watch your stuff, and then you get DMs. You get to meet up with people in real life who from like so I think all those things are super cool. Like I guess I could use the term friends, but I have friends all over the country.
Yeah.
Like if I go to a city, I can hit them up because like we've connected now online
Yeah.
because they've watched my videos, or I've watched their I've read their stuff, I've watched their stuff. They do whatever they're in the media space. They do social media for an NBA team, like whatever it may be. So like all these different people in the space in the creative sports media world, like it's just so dope to connect with all these people.
How do you keep things fun? Like, how do you make sure while it's
Yeah.
your full time job that there's still this thing called fun, which is why you started it?
That's actually a great question because it's been something that has been a focus of mine like the past couple months. I would say like especially now with it being like a full-time thing, you really have to just you really have to just separate yourself and your self-worth from like what is happening with like viewership and stuff, right? So I think a big thing for me is just like the reason why like I just love the NBA. So bro, I'm Kawhi. I think it's fascinating how he's going on for 45 now, 55, 51. Like I think this stuff is cool. So when I'm actually working, I have a lot of fun. That's actually I think it's cool when I put my headphones on. I get to like, read Twitter, read Reddit, all this stuff. That part of it is still fun to me. It's never not been fun to like do the research, write stuff. Recording is obviously still fun. The I guess editing is like, I think editing is fun. I think the work itself is fun. It's the kind of detaching myself from the outcomes of like what's going to happen when the process is fun, but the outcome, I think I became such a victim to like wanting certain out and just being addicted to the outcomes, like being addicted to the attention, being addicted to positive DMs you would get, being addicted to opportunities you would get. Like so you're addicted to all these things where like when people are giving you external praise, like you happen to people want to coffee chat, like all these things, like you get addicted to those things. And I think I just have to remind myself like just detach. Like you can't control if people are gonna like, want to do this X and X with you. Like, you just have to stick to like what is actually like just stick to like, doing it, right? And I think for me, it's just about like now, no matter what happens, even if I did gain like I had nothing else happen in my career. Like I just basically flatlined in terms of like everything. Like I just got zero views. I mean, obviously I would need money. So like, but like you still would need money. But like in terms of like the external praise and kind of going off the thing of like, oh, you're an outsider and all this stuff. Like you can't worry about being an outsider because I don't know, what does that really even like you just have to be content with what you're doing. And I think I'm super content with what I'm doing. So, um, you can't be worried about if people think you're weird, like if your college peers think you're weird for not getting like, I don't know, what is their opinion? Like, and it's easier said than done, but I think now I've actually gotten to a point where I genuinely do not care. Like whatever, dude. Like that's your problem. If you, yeah.
I mean, it's also just the best way to kind of keep going. As a content creator, I've actually never asked this to anyone. Do you financially plan, assuming that you could have like a little couple of months?
Yeah, I mean, I do have I do have some yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, you have to. And that's actually probably a great thing about being in college when I started this is I was able to like just not have any expenses or that many expenses for because obviously my parents paid for college, that's my parents, and all this stuff. My parents like, shout out to them. So, you didn't have any expenses in college. So for me, it's like all the money I made in college, I would spend money on like dumb shit. I would spend money on like, clothes and all this BS. So, but I was able to save a lot of it as well. So like I do have a cushion if I didn't make any money, which is great. And that's probably really beneficial. Like, the fact that I do have like a cushion where it's like, if I made $0 this month, like I would be good.
Well,
That's really
well,
good.
it also probably helps you keep things fun as well because you don't feel like your back is
I
punched
think
against the
no,
wall, or no?
I'm totally removed from that. So because I've had this cushion for like a while. Because when I started making money in like 2022, like I wasn't like I had no expense. So I've had the cushion out built up for a
Okay.
couple of years. It's never really felt like, oh, like rent's due tomorrow. I'm screwed. Like I've never
Yeah.
had that feeling yet. And hopefully I don't, but we'll see in like the future. But in terms of the thing about the fun part of it and keeping it fun was the fact of like detaching from the external validation. That's the thing that's tough because when you do get in there's so many different ways. It comes in follower growth. It comes in people DMing you, whether it's like someone a viewer, whether it's someone who's in the space like yourself. I mean, there's so many different types of people who um there's so many different types of examples or a hometown friend or when you're out at a bar and you're just having conversations with people you used to know in real life or from high school or at college and there's so many different interactions that you have so just really detaching from like wanting their approval is a
Yeah.
big thing and just like if they don't think what you're doing is that cool like you just have to be like whatever like that's not my problem. I can't worry about that obviously like we're human beings we want the external validation but like you really just have to I think I've gotten to a place where I really just don't care anymore if like I do get validated that way.
Well, it just shows that you're locked in too, that like you understand your objectives.
Yeah, no,
Has
100%.